Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Vendala Mataji, Sapan Prabhu, Samyukta Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Let us wait for a couple more minutes and we'll start. We'll start at 6:50. Okay.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Dandavad pranam. Thank you very much for joining.
Hare Krishna. Hare
Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for waiting. Nilamata Samyuktamata Sapan Prabhu. I already sent a message to other devotees. It's okay. Let them join whenever they can. So let us begin, okay? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. नमो ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम् ॐ अपवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यस्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्षं साभ्याभ्यन्तरं शुचिः श्रीविष्णु श्रीविष्णु श्रीविष्णु. So we are reading from which book we are reading? Hare Krishna. Sapan Prabhu, Vendela Mataji, Samyukta Mataji.
Coming back.
So what is the meaning of coming back? Samyukta Mataji.
Back home to Godhead, Prabhuji.
Coming back. Coming back and Mataji, repeated cycle of birth and death. Coming back, when back home, back to Godhead, there is no question of coming. When we go back home, back to Godhead, there is no question of coming back. That's it. Yad gatva nivartante tad dhama paramam mama. Once we go to spiritual world, never ever come back to this miserable, suffering material world. So coming back means repeated birth of birth rate, repeated cycle of birth and death. Okay. So now till there are only 2 chapters left in this coming back book. Last time up to we read chapter 6, the logic of reincarnation. Now today let us read chapter 7 and possibly if chapter 8 also, and try to complete today. Let us see how it goes. So chapter 7 talks about common misconceptions and chick notions about reincarnation. So let us almost reincarnation. So begin with yourself, Samyukta Mataji, please go ahead.
Yes, Prabhuji. Chapter 7, Almost Reincarnation. The living entity who has received his present body because of his past fruitive activity may end the results of his actions in this life. But this does not mean that he is liberated from bondage to material bodies. The living entity receives one type of body, and by performing actions with that body, he creates another. Thus, he transmigrates from one body to another through repeated birth and death because of his gross ignorance. Srimad Bhagavatam 7.7.47. Sensationalist US weekly tabloids are rife with unscientific notions about reincarnation, presenting startling new evidence practically every week, and more paperback books claiming to tell the real truth about past lives glut the market. But who to believe and what to believe? Can the National Enquirer and other similar publications really be accepted as authorities on the science of reincarnation? Out of body experiences are one tangential aspect of reincarnation that has been widely publicized. While many of these out of body reports may well be true, they do not provide us with any really new information. Reports of such occurrences may help to convince readers that there is indeed another reality beyond the body consciousness or the soul. But this is not new information, for this knowledge has been available for years. The Vedas explain that consciousness is a symptom of the soul and therefore has a separate existence from the body. From even a cursory study of the more than 5,000-year-old Bhagavad Gita, and other Vedic literatures, the existence of the soul as distinct from the body become obvious. It is not surprising to a student of Vedic science to hear that the soul carried by the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and false ego, may temporarily go beyond its material tabernacle, tabernacle during dreams or near-death experiences. False ego means accepting the body as oneself. The sense of I am is ego, but when the soul becomes contaminated or conditioned by matter, he identifies with the body and thinks that he is a product of material nature. When the sense of self is applied to reality or the soul, that is real ego.
Yes, Mataji. So what is the difference between false ego and true ego? Can you say the Mataji by looking at this first paragraph? See, false ego, that's why our false ego forces us to take birth in material world. So then what is a true ego? Two definitions given by Srila Prabhupada. You can find out and let me know. Let us know, Mataji. What is a true ego? What is false ego?
False ego means that I am this body, Prabhuji.
Yes, false ego means accepting the body as oneself. So a bodily concept of life. Okay.
Yes. True ego means I am soul, Prabhuji. He
And soul.
identifies that he has a spirit, soul. అంటే ఆయనకు ఆత్మ గురించి తెలుసు ప్రభుజీ, ఇది నేను కాదు, నేను
Yes.
శరీరం కాదు, నేను ఆత్మను అని ఉంటారు ప్రభుజీ.
Yeah. Real ego. The real ego, that's nice ego actually. Good ego. Real ego is on the when the sense of self is applied to reality or the soul, that is real ego. So false ego means I am body, I am not the spirit soul. Whereas real ego, I am not this body, I am spirit soul. I am servant of. In false ego, I'm not servant of Krishna. That's why we come here. I am controller, I am enjoyer, I am proprietor. Those three propensities, false ego. Falsely claim a bodily concept of life, lording it over material nature, is all everything that's comes under that false ego. When actually we are all originally having nice consciousness, somehow we come, this false ego forced us. We wanted to enjoy like Krishna, that's why forced into this, dragged into material pool. So that's the thing. So here in this almost reincarnation talks about the reincarnation, how it takes place, and scientists sensationally, this paragraph, let us see. Sensationalistic US weekly tablet are rife with unscientific notions about reincarnation. Unscientific, presenting startling new evidence, practical every week, all and more paperback books claiming to tell the real truth about the past lives glut the market. But the who to believe, what to believe? Can the National Enquirer and other similar publication really be accepted as authorities on the science of reincarnations? So Prabhupada, the question is who to believe and what to believe. How reincarnation takes place, betterly explained in eternal book, eternal scripture, eternal knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. Dehinosmin yata dehe kaumaram yobbanam jara tata dehantaram tapsti dhiras. Dehinosmin yata, changing bodies, one body to another body, one body to another body, according to one's own karma activities. So here, while many of these out-of-body reports may well be true, they do not provide us with any really new information. Reports of such occurrences may help to convince readers that there is indeed another reality beyond the body consciousness or the soul. But this is not new information. Already explained in the Bhagavad Gita. For this knowledge has been available for years. That means Bhagavad Gita available since time immemorial. The Vedas explain that consciousness is a symptom of the soul. What is the symptom of the soul? Consciousness. And that consciousness pervading in our entire body. Right? If we pinch a hand, for example, if we pinch, we get the feelings of the pain because of the consciousness presence there, because of the soul's presence there. Soul's symptom. That's the thing. And therefore, therefore, as a separate existence from the body, from even a cursory study of the more than 5,000-year-old book, Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literature, the existence of the soul as distinct from the body becomes obvious. So we have two things: material body and spiritual body. Spiritual body is nothing but soul. Material body is made up of three subtle, five gross elements. Bhumi Rapo Nalo Vayu Khammano Buddhi Revacha. So let us continue. Vendala Mataji, please start here.
Reincarnation, the real out-of-body experience. Out-of-body experiences, OBEs, are really nothing new. Everyone has had them. For dreams are nothing less than an out-of-body experience. During sleep, we enter the dream state when our subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego, leaves the gross form and enjoys a different reality on the subtle plane. The subtle body is the vehicle which carries the soul out of the body and into another new body at the time of death. A fairly common type of OB has been documented in the cases of near death, when subjects describe how they seem to hover above their own bodies at the scene of an accident or over the operating table, observing their own bodies without feeling physical pain or discomfort, although, although many had been declared clinically dead. Even while the gross body is inactive, the subtle body is active. As already noted, the subtle body sometimes carries us into dreams while our gross body lies sleeping in the bed. A similar phenomenon occurs when we go into when we go on mental journeys during the day, as in daydreams. In special circumstances, during a close brush with death, people enter a state researchers have learned the near death experience, NDE. In some cases, the terms NDE and OBE can be used interchangeably. During an NDE, the subtle body often hovers above the corporeal form. Since the soul is near the elemental principle of life, the very essence of its life, it can observe the body it belongs to. It can see, hear, smell, just as it, uh, just as if it possessed all the physical faculties of the body. Correct. Should I continue?
చదవండి ఇంకా 2 paragraphs చదవండి.
When the subtle body hovers over the gross form during an NDE, the body may be compared to a car with the engine left running. The driver of the vehicle has stepped out for a moment, but if he does not return, the car runs out of fuel and the engine ceases to run. Similarly, if the soul does not return to the and integrate itself with the body during an NDE, the person dies, and the subtle body carries the soul to another physical body to begin a new life. This fact is the fundamental principles expounded throughout the Vedic literature. One of the most famous of often quoted verses of Bhagavad Gita states, "As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. The sober person is not bewildered by such a change." Bhagavad Gita 2.13. Correct.
Same. Thank you, Mataji. Dehinosmin, that was Dehinosmin, Dehe. Kaumanam Yubbanam Jara, Tata Dehantaram Praptis, Dhirastatranam Hiyati. That's the best definition of reincarnation, actually. From the Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. So here, two things, two different concepts explain: NDE, OBE, near death experience and out of body experience. Both, in some cases, the terms NDE and OBE can be used interchangeably. During an ND, the subtle body often hovers above the corporeal form. Since the soul is the elemental principle of life, the very essence of life itself, it can observe the body it belongs to. It can see, hear, and smell, just as if it possessed all the physical faculties of the body. When the subtle body hovers above the grass from the during an ND, the body may be compared to a car with the engine left running. The driver of the vehicle has stepped out for a moment. But if he does not return, the car runs out of fuel and the engine ceases to run. Simple example, now, how is Srila Prabhupada explaining? Near-death experience, out-of-body experiences. Easy to understand, actually. See. Similarly, if the soul does not return and reintegrate itself with the body during an ND, the person dies. And the subtle body carries the soul to another physical body to begin a new life. So that's the thing. So there are two different things, material body and the spiritual body. Yes. Sapan Prabhuji, please read. Hare Krishna Prabhu, Sapan Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji. During our lifetime, we are unknowingly creating the subtle form of our next physical body. Just as a caterpillar transports itself by taking hold of one leaf before giving up another, the living entity begins to prepare its new body before giving up the present one. At the moment of actual death, the soul transmigrates to a new body, rendering the body of its former habitation lifeless. The soul does not need the body to exist, but without the presence of the soul, the body is nothing more than a corpse. This transferal of the soul from one body to another is what we call reincarnation. Although hundreds of recorded NDs seem to present ample evidence that the mind and soul can exist while separate from the body, NDs don't give us any definite information about the soul's final destination at death. Therefore, while literature on near-death experiences can provide us with a basis for accepting reincarnation, it still leaves readers sadly uninformed about the true nature of reincarnation and the destiny of the soul after the death experience. Hypnotic regression. Okay, Prabhuji?
Yes.
Stop, Prabhuji.
No, please go ahead.
Hypnotic regressions do not give us the whole picture. A number of popular books on reincarnation focus on cases of hypnotic regression in which subjects allegedly recall details of a past life or past lives. One such book, The Search for Bridie Murphy, became a bestseller in the 1950s. It was serialized in more than 50 newspapers and created something of a worldwide sensation. The book became a prototype for a whole genre of past life regression paperbacks that appeared in the decades following the book. Such books still enjoy a modicum of popularity today, but this literature about reincarnation only skims the surface, giving us a bantam view of a vast subject, a view that in many ways can be misleading. In Search for Bridie Murphy, the author, a skilled hypnotist, regressed his middle-aged American subject, Mrs. Virginia Tighe, to her last incarnation, in which she claimed to be a girl named Bridie Murphy, who was born in Ireland in 1798, lived there all her life, and died at age 66 in Belfast. Under hypnosis, Tighe disclosed details of Bridie's childhood home, gave the names of parents, friends, and relatives, and reported many other particulars of her past life. The book reported that Bridie entered the spiritual world at death, only to be reborn again in America in 1923 as Virginia Tighe. Investigators were able to verify some of the information Tighe supplied about Bridie Murphy, but they also discovered parallels between Mrs. Tighe's childhood and that of Bridie Murphy that she described under hypnosis. Research revealed, for example, that at age of 4, Tighe lived with an aunt across the street from a woman named Bridie Murphy. As a result, Bridie Murphy's story is still vigorously debated and shrouded in controversy. From this many and other similar cases, we can understand that even the most delicate and descriptive past life memories may be events from the subject's childhood. Psychologists studying these cases have deliberately introduced hypnotic states in which subjects come up with plausible yet entirely fictional accounts of their former incarnation. This isn't to say that all hypnotic induced past life accounts are fabrications. But separating genuine memories from unconscious fantasies requires a great deal of effort and is often not possible. Not only can childhood memories be mistaken under hypnosis for past life, but also any thought, a recollection of stories heard in childhood, books read in the past, or even purely imaginary episodes or situations can easily be mistaken for real past life experiences. Therefore, the hypnotic regression approach to reincarnation often operates on shaky ground. Another common fallacy with past life regression is that the inexplicable gap between present life and last incarnation. For example, the subject who thought she was Bridie Murphy claimed to have died in 1864 in her last life, leaving a 60-year period before her reincarnation as Virginia Tighe. The book indicates that during this period, the soul of Bridie Murphy lived in the spiritual world. Continue, Prabhuji.
Continue. Yes.
According to the principle of reincarnation taught in the Vedas, we learn that
Sorry, go ahead. Yes.
this is quite impossible. The actual process of reincarnation is that the soul, after leaving a material body at death, enters another womb in some species of life in this or another universe, as directed by the immutable laws of karma and arranged by material nature. After death, this disembodied soul, unhindered by a physical body, is able to travel at the speed of the mind. Therefore, there is a negligible time lapse between leaving one body and entering another. However, only fully realized souls can attain the spiritual world beyond the cycle of reincarnation. This is not possible for ordinary soul who is conditioned by life in the material world. Every soul has the potential to reach the spiritual world after undergoing the necessary spiritual practices which make this possible. As Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. But the Lord further notes that the great souls alone, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Bhagavad Gita 8.15. The laws of karma and reincarnation are so perfectly ordered that when each material body dies, nature has already arranged exactly according to the soul's cumulative karma another appropriate material body into which the departed soul will enter and take birth anew. Whatever state of... Okay, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So in these paragraphs, what we are understanding from one of the the scientific research about the reincarnation and past life experiences described here. Some controversy, some hypnotism. They may remember those the recollections. It is possible actually, some souls, that means some persons, they can be able to remember the past life. Where did they born, which place. That is a proof of, like, what is the proof? The consciousness. So that's where mind, intelligence, false ego carries to another body, right? Whatever the activities, the memory continues. But only some souls only can be able to remember, not every individual. So that's there. So is here in Western world, there is some on this topic, hypnotic regression. Through that hypnotic regression, they can be able to remember the past lives. So that's there here. Basically to understand reincarnation and the after this body, there is a next life is there. Some people won't believe reincarnation. Only this body. After this body, that's it. Only one body we have. There is no other body. This is going to be the last thing. Some people have misconceptions. And here, if you see, the Bride Murphy, the author, a skilled hypnotist, regressed his middle-aged American subject, Mrs. Virginia Thige, to her last incarnation, in which she claimed to be a girl named Bride Murphy, who was born in Ireland in 1970. That means remembering long back in past life experience. Under hypnosis, Tige disclosed details of Bride's childhood home, gave the names. So they may remember their parents' names, their locations, friends, relatives. It's possible. So this is the thing. So from the Bhagavad Gita, we have to understand there is reincarnation. There must be reincarnation after this body, according to our own karma, cumulative karma. Prabhupada writes in his paragraphs here, according to the soul's cumulative karma, another appropriate material body into which the departed soul will enter and take birth anew. Reincarnation again, either lower species or higher species, higher planetary systems, or if the fortunate soul remembers Lord at the time of death, he may go back home back to God. So, as Lord Krishna explains in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9, one who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, taking his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode. That means even though we are in this material world, if we remember appearance and activities of Krishna, what happens? That's if we, correct. That's the thing. The 4.9 says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tattva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, there is no question of punarjanma. There is no question of reincarnation. When we understand the activities, appearance, are basically to understand Krishna, then there is no question of punarjanma. Tattva deham punarjanma. It is right. Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, there is no question of reincarnation. That's it. This is the only life. If we remember, that's where Bhakti Yoga is a serious practitioner thing, not for spiritual entertainment. We have to adopt all the principles nicely and seriously practice. And here, O Arjuna, and the other words from Bhagavad Gita, but the Lord further notes that the great souls alone, who are yogis in devotion, never return to this material. This is temporary world, which is full of miseries, because they have attained the highest perfection. Punarjanma, again, there is no question of Punarjanma, come back to this miserable world. That's the thing. The laws of karma and reincarnation are so perfectly ordered that when each material body dies, nature has already arranged, right? 8,400,000 bodies, 400,000 species, means it's bodies, different dresses, exactly according to that soul's cumulative karma. So these are the things there, NDE, OBE, past life, they're all there. And we have, there are three kinds of, what is that? Three kinds of Jagruti, Shushupti, Nidravastha. Actually, it's called Jagruti means wakeful state. Shushupti means sleeping state. Jagruti, Shushupti, Jagruti, Nidravastha, Shushupti. Four, I think, four. Correct me, Vendala Mata. There are four now. Jagruti,
I don't remember the exact.
yeah, Jagruti, Sushupti, Nidra, no, Nidra. Samadhi is there.
One is there, Turiya. Don't remember
Samadhi.
what. Turiya or something will be there. Actually, I don't remember exactly.
So four things. Jagruti, wakeful state. That right now we are here in the call. We are reading. It's in a wakeful state. And then sleepy state, dreaming state. So it's amazing, right? In the dream state, in the sleepy state. Yeah, Jagruti, Nidra, then Jagruti, Nidra, dreaming state, and then Samadhi. So basically, see what happens when a person goes to bed and sleeps, and again in the morning wakes up. What about that soul? We completely we forgetfulness of our body, what's going on in the sleepy state. If we get good sleep, we won't get any dreams and nicely sleep, and we forget about our body, and immediately we wakes up. How this body is working, the dream state, we dream different things in the sleep. That is the another state. Jagrata, Sushupti, Nidra, and Samadhi. 4 things. And Samadhi state, complete forgetfulness, complete forgetfulness of how can we say Samadhi means completely we in our devotional lives. Complete Samadhi means complete remembering Lord, complete, fully cognizant and focus. Right? This is the thing. Right? Consciousness routed to the spiritual realm, Turiya. Consciousness routed to anywhere. I mean, here, different mention soul, subtle body, gross body. Right? Swapna, Jagruti, Sushupti, and Turiya, 4 states. This is the consciousness routed to the spiritual realm, Turiya. Consciousness not routed anywhere. Not routed anywhere. Sushupti. And consciousness routed through gross material body to the world, Jagruti. Consciousness is routed till the subtle material realm. That means in Swapna, in Nidra. In dreamy state, wakeful state, dreamy state. And Sushupti, consciousness is not rooted anywhere. We won't get any dreams. Simply nice, good power, nice, good sleep. Turiya, consciousness is routed the spiritual realm. Another word is Turiya, another word Samadhi. So, spiritual realm, whatever the Krishna conscious activities, it's going to be the, if we completely focus, attentively hear the holy names, no distractions to our mind, then we are in the state of Samadhi. We are complete Samadhi. We forget about everything actually. We swim in the transcendental ocean of holy names. That's the thing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing, Matari. So let us continue. I'll read some paragraphs. Today we are very less number. Lakshmi, possibility, Mata, Hare Krishna, Mata, would you like to read? Or you are in hearing mode? Okay. It's okay, Mata. So I'm continuing from these paragraphs. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, in that state, he will attain without fail. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. That's one, 8.6. Bhagavad Gita. A self-realized soul who enters the eternal spiritual world would certainly not have an obligation nor desire to reappear in this temporary material world of birth, death, disease, and old age. It's called Mrityu-loka, another name. It's repeated cycle of birth, death. The past life regression approach to reincarnation occasionally yields evidence of the fact that the same soul inhabits different bodies at different times. And this knowledge is helpful. Many published cases confirm past life information revealed by hypnotized subjects to be remarkably accurate. Sometimes these hypnotic regressions elicit demonstrations of deeply felt emotions that are hard to doubt. The work of Ian Stevenson in the United States and Peter Ramster in Australia includes carefully documented reincarnation experiments. These two scientists, Ian Stevenson and Peter Ramster, they did documented about the proof of reincarnations and their experiments. In many cases involving independent observers to ensure integrity, it is noteworthy that some of their subjects spoke fluently in languages with which it had been proven they had little or no contact throughout their lives. A few even spoken in old dialects, no longer extant, but which were validated through historical records. Some of Ramster's subjects led him and never before visited and led him and independent observers to remote dwellings in foreign countries never before visited by their subjects. In several cases, these buildings or their remains meticulously matched subjects' earlier accounts of their past life homes, accounts which were taped in Ramster's office before his subjects went abroad to begin the verification phase of the experiment. These types of carefully and scientifically conducted experiments seem to lead us almost unchangeably to the conclusion that reincarnation must exist in some form. Unfortunately, they do not give us any real in-depth knowledge or understanding as to how transmigration of the soul actually takes place. Therefore, the past life regression approach to reincarnation is at best a rudimentary attempt to explain a highly elevated phenomenon. Moreover, the sensationalism, oversimplification, and even hucksterism that surround so much of this experimentation, most of which is not scientifically conducted, severely limit the regression method as a viable information source about the innumerable intricacies of reincarnation. So ultimately, we have to understand from this paragraph, various scientists also trying to understand. This curiosity is there. What happens to life after death? That curiosity among this scientific community, these two personalities did extensively research on the reincarnation experiments, and they documented. It's a proof. Life after life. Life is there after life. After death, life is there. That life is, scientific theories and this research, they cannot provide the perfect knowledge. Only the Supreme Creator is giving the perfect knowledge. Nothing but Krishna is giving this knowledge. So this species created, reincarnation is going to taking place according to one's own activities. Right. So let us continue again. Okay. Once a human or always a human. Yes. Vanilla Matadi, please read.
Once a human, always a human. Another popular reincarnation posits that the soul, once attaining a human form, always comes back in the human body in the next life and never reincarnates in lower species. We may reincarnate as humans, but we could come back as dogs, cats, hawks, or lower species. The soul, however, despite entering higher or lower bodies, remains unchanged. In any case, the type of body one gets in his next life will be determined by the type of consciousness he develops in this life by the immutable law of karma. Bhagavad Gita, the most authoritative source book on reincarnation spoken by God himself, clearly states that when one dies in the mode of ignorance, he takes birth in an animal form of life, animal kingdom. Bhagavad Gita 14.50. There is no scientific or scriptural evidence anywhere for this principle. Once human, always a human notion, which runs contrary to the true principles of reincarnation principles that have been understood by and followed by millions of people since time immemorial. Should I continue?
Yeah, okay, you can continue, but one point. See, there is a wrong notion. Once a human, always a human. It's a wrong notion, actually. Never. If I take birth as a human being, there is no guarantee that I am going to take a next life as a human. Yes, it is possible. I am going to take a human birth when we do good activities, when we situate in the right platform like Bhakti Yoga, right? At least some devotional mood towards Supreme. That is there. But there is no guarantee a materialist person, he always born as a human. No. Once a human, always a human. Never. It's not going to be work like that. Again, why these different species are created? Right? Krishna, why is created? According to According to the Jiva's different activities, he forced to take birth among those different species. So this is a wrong notion. Prabhupada says that. Okay. Continue, Mataji. Death is not a painless
Death is
transition.
not a painless transition. Books that paint a rosy picture of death and assures man of a human birth in the next life are dangerously misleading. The authors attempt to portray death as a beautiful, painless transition, an opportunity to experience growth and to progress to newer and higher dimensions of awareness and tranquility. Most strict incarnation theories would have us believe that after a brief period of cosmic slumber, we will experience a warm, drifting, floating sensation as the soul slowly proceeds towards its next human body. Then we are told we enter a cozy human womb where, protected from cruel outside elements, we lie comfortably curled up until the time we emerge, freeing ourselves at last from the shelter of our mother. All this sounds wonderful, but the harsh truth is that birth and death are odious, agonizing experiences. The great sage Kapila Muni informs his mother about the true nature of the death experience. In that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to the presence of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty in breathing, and there is rattling sound within his throat. He dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. But Bhagavatam 3.30.16 to 18. The soul is so habituated to living in the body that it must be forced out of the body by the laws of nature at the moment of death. Just as no one likes to be forcibly evicted from his home, the soul naturally resists eviction from the material body. Even the tiniest insects will display the most amazing abilities and techniques for avoiding death when their lives are threatened. But as death is inevitable for all living beings, so are the fear and pain associated with it. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Yes. So, see, everything is there in our scripture actually. How the consciousness, how the body is going to be at the time of death. Kapila Muni said in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, 30th chapter, 16 to 18 verses, see, in that diseased condition, one's eyes bulge due to the pressure of air from within, and his glands become congested with mucus. He has difficulty breathing, and there is a rattling sound within the throat. He dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. How can we see as a devotee, as a practitioner devotee? So the truth is here. How a person's situation is bodily situation and is consciousness at the time of death. That is there. But as a devotee, we are practicing, we are trying to control senses. We are following some rules and regulations. At the time of death, definitely, since we are practicing, since we are doing service, since we are trying, at the time of death, that consciousness, see, that many times we say that the entire life is a preparation. How to prepare for the last exam? Always remember Krishna, never forgets. That is the way. That is the way every day we have to, wherever we see, we have to find Krishna's picture. We have to see everywhere, we have to see Krishna. We have to practice that way. Everywhere, in every situation, in every activity. We'll try to see Krishna in them. So that kind of consciousness, if we develop at the time of death, it's easy to remember Krishna. At least if we practice that, due to this bodily discomfort, Krishna is going to help us. So Krishna is not a cruel person. He is always merciful. Karuna Sindhu. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu. But the whole life we have to conduct such a way that we have to remember Krishna and never forgets. So that's the thing. These are all things I've given. Death is not a painless transition. Death is a painless. What is the author's attempt to portray death as a beautiful, painless transition, an opportunity to experience growth and to progress to newer and higher dimensions of awareness of tranquility. Chick reincarnation theorists would have us believe that after a brief period of cosmic slumber, we will experience a warm, drifting, floating sensation as the soul slowly proceeds toward its next human body. It's their misconceptions. It's not 100% correct. Then we are told we enter a cozy human womb where, protected from cruel outside elements, we lie comfortably curled up until the time when we emerge, freeing ourselves at last from the shelter of our mother. So what is saying? All of this sounds wonderful, but the harsh truth is that birth and death are odious, agonizing experiences. That's where, from Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada pointed out this, how consciousness and bodily function at the time of death. Because the soul is so habituated to living in the body that it must be forced out by the laws of nature, forced out, dragging. See, actually a person, that is the innate nature of a person. He don't want to die. He wanted to live eternally. That is innate nature of his soul, because that is there. That is the nature. You don't want to go undergo disease. You don't want to go undergo old age. You don't want to go undergo through the death, because but that is there. The eternal nature is there. The problem is most of the people, they won't know what exactly we need to work on, right? So because unless until a person understand about what is a material body, what is spiritual body, there is no question of coming out of those things. Everything is blissful on the spiritual platform, whether we believe it or not. Everything which connects to super soul, which connects to Supreme Lord, all are blissful things. The chanting, the association with the devotees, everything. These are all very good things and progressive elements of bhakti. So we have to understand that soul is so habituated to the living in the body, because the soul entrapped in the body, conceptions, bodily concept of life, it's not easy to come out, Prabhuji and Mata. It's very, very hard. You have to work on it. That's why we always have to read these scriptures to understand the soul concepts. Stringent material laws. Prabhupada writes the word stringent material laws forced her to take among other species. If you don't want to take reincarnation, if you don't want to take rebirth, there is a solution given by scriptures and Supreme Lord. Scriptures nothing but Krishna only. That's the thing. So we just have to understand this knowledge and try to apply in our life. Vedic literature informs us that only self-realized, self-realized, liberated souls have the power to experience death without any anxiety. This is possible because such highly elevated personalities are completely detached from the temporary bodies. When we fast, we try to control our senses. We try for the pleasure of Supreme Lord. Why we fast on Ekadashi days? Fast till noon, fast till dusk. Because we need to control, we need to have that kind of, conscious, we need to maintain. Otherwise, every time eating 3 times a day, right? Nicely food stuff. Then where is the austerity? Our austerities are needed, right? See, we want eternal spiritual life. Then there must be some austerities. How can we go otherwise? We'll come back to that. So that is the thing. This is possible because such highly elevated personalities are completely detached from their temporary bodies, fixed in the knowledge that they are spirit soul with an eternal non-material existence. independent of all material bodies. Such great souls remain in a state of continuous spiritual bliss and are not bewildered by bodily pains and changes at the time of death. That's it. How we have to develop till the last breath, that we have to have always on the spiritual platform, not on the bodily concept of life. When we see these great Vaishnava acharyas, how they control the bodily demands. For example, Raghunath Das Goswami, every couple of days, he took just some buttermilk. How can it's possible? Because he is experiencing beyond the body, the spiritual bliss. Forgetfulness of all the bodily demands. Forgetfulness of all the bodily demands. That's possible. It's there. Not for starving. Because he got the higher taste. Spiritual bliss. And that is giving so much energy. Beyond bodily concept of life. Many examples. Right? Austerity is needed for to understand, to control the senses, at least. So let us continue. Yeah, Samyukta Mata, please continue.
యా ప్రభు. ఇప్పుడు చెప్పారుగా ప్రభుజీ ఇంతకు ముందు సోల్ వెళ్ళేటప్పుడు అంత ఈజీ కాదని. లాస్ట్ సండే నేను అదే బడసానా మాతాజీ గారు ఉన్నారు కదా ప్రభుజీ, సో ఆ రోజు వెళ్ళామన్నమాట. సో ఇప్పుడు మీరు చెప్పినవన్నీ కూడా అక్కడ అప్లికబుల్ అయ్యాయి ప్రభుజీ. అసలు నిజంగా సచ్ ఎ గ్రేట్ సోల్ ప్రభుజీ.
కాన్షియస్నెస్ అంటే ఆ మాతాజీ she did a wonderful services to the community.
అంటే ఇప్పుడు చదవడం వరకే ప్రభుజీ, రియల్ గా చూసేసరికి అసలు నిజంగా ప్రభుజీ కృష్ణ కాన్షియస్నెస్ అంటే ఏంటో అసలు ఆవిడలో చూసాక అసలు అంత డెడికేటెడ్ గా ఉంటున్నారని బాగా ఇదనిపించింది ప్రభుజీ.
By Krishna's mercy only, no?
Yes,
guarantee. The consciousness, that's the thing. How we are, it's an exemplary. There are many devotees passing, glorious passing away from this glorious. So I see when my beginning of my Krishna conscious days, sometimes I have seen there is one Guru Maharaj called Swarup Damodar Guru Maharaj. In his deathbed, he was smiling. When we see his body, he is smiling. So by looking at the body, so that dead body, the face so glorious, how we remembered Krishna at the time of death. See, how can we see smile at the time of death? By practicing devotion life, by understanding, by remembering Supreme Lord. Actually, there is one movie song also, Navutu Batakalira, Navutu Chavala. There's a lot of philosophical thing is there. The death is for a devotee, death is a blissful event to remember Lord and go back to God. That's where these bodily pains, from now onwards, we have to there is discomforts always. See, we engage the spirit soul, eternal blissful nature of spirit soul, eternal Sachidananda Vigraha, eternal, transcendental, knowledgeable, blissful state of that being inside in us, right? So it's entrapped in the body. There are always bodily discomforts there, but we just have to forgetfulness. We have to develop that kind of consciousness. Unless we practice austerity, we won't get that stage.
Yes,
that's where we have this system of fasting, right? Is there to control our and take only prasad, take only moderately, not overeating. That is also there. There are these things we just have to practice. Yes, Mataji. Thank you for sharing your part.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I have gone out for some time back. No, it's okay, Prabhu. It's okay. So, yeah, continue, Mataji, from this.
Yes, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, little bit scroll. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, but taking birth, go ahead.
But taking birth in the material world is no picnic either. For months, the human fetus lies cramped within the darkness of the womb, suffering severely, scorched by the mother's gastric fire, continually jolted by sudden movements, and feeling constant pressure from being contained in the small amnion or sac, which surrounds the body in the womb. This tight, constricting pocket forces the child's back to arch constantly like a bow. Further, the unborn child is tormented by hunger and thirst and is bitten again and again all over the body by hungry worms in the abdominal cavity. Birth is so excruciating, the Vedas say that the process eradicates any past life memories one may have retained. Vedic literature explains that a human birth is very rare. In other words, most living beings in the material world have assumed non human forms. This happens when the soul, giving up the purpose of human life, namely self realization, becomes entangled in animalistic desires. It must then take its next birth in the animal or lower than animal kingdoms. Theories about reincarnation, as described in popular literature, should be seen for what they are: beliefs, opinions, suppositions, and mere speculations. The physical universe is governed by laws. Other sets of laws govern the subtle universe, including the laws of transmigration of the soul and karma. It is under these subtle but stringent laws of nature described in the Bhagavad Gita and hundreds of other Vedic literatures that the actual process of reincarnation operates. These laws did not spring into existence whimsically, but function under the control of the Supreme Controller Sri Krishna, who confirms in the Gita 9.10. This material nature is working under my direction. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. Fashionable notions about reincarnation may be amusing and appealing, but our own destinies are much too important to put our faith and belief in frivolous, grossly simplified, inaccurate, and misleading speculations, no matter how attractive they may seem. Vedic literature, on the other hand, has for thousands of years provided practical, comprehensive, and useful knowledge about the science of reincarnation. This wisdom makes it possible for intelligent persons to gradually approach higher and higher states of awareness and at last escape completely from the endless cycle of birth and death. This is the real goal of human life. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Few things. So even birth also painful actually. Tightly in the mother's womb, the soul in that experiencing, but it's a forgetfulness we won't see. I mean, unless we come back and so forgetfulness, that pain, birth is also a pain. See here further, the unborn child is tormented by hunger and thirst and is bitten again and again all over the body by hungry worms in the abdominal cavity. Birth is so excruciating. The Vedas say that the process eradicates any past life memories one may have retained. So birth is also a problem. See, that's where four problems, right? How can birth is a problem? We won't experience, but there is a problem. Vedas says we have to believe. Vedic literature explains that human birth is very rare. Yes, that also explains. Durlabha manusha janma. What is that? We frequently. What is that song actually? There is one song we frequently do that. Durlabha manava janama satsanga. That before that, what is that? Vajahure mana. Yes. Vajahure mana Srinanda Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabha manava janama satsanga tarahuye bhava. That is the thing. Durlabha manusha janma. We got this human, we always have to repeatedly understand the seriousness of human life. In other words, most living beings in the material world have assumed non-human forms. This happens when the soul, giving up the purpose of human life, namely self-realization, becomes entangled in animalistic desires. It must then take its next birth in the animal or lower species. Therefore, about the theories about reincarnation as described in popular literature should be seen for what they are: beliefs, opinions, suppositions, mere speculations. The physical universe is governed by laws the Supreme Lord created. The other sets of laws govern the subtle universe, including the laws of transmigration of soul and karma. It is under these subtle but stringent laws of nature described in the Bhagavad Gita and hundreds of other Vedic literature that the actual process of reincarnation operates. These laws did not spring into existence whimsically, but function under the control of the Supreme Controller, Sri Krishna, who confirms in the Bhagavad Gita 10. What is that? This material nature is working under my direction. What is that verse? Anybody remember? Is under its rule, this manifestation. Yes, 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 Mata. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. All these rules, regulations, all these functionality, job responsibilities created by Krishna, and he allocated different services to his subordinates, like different demigods, different personalities. Durga Devi, Varuna, Vaya, Surya, Chandra, everything subordinates to Krishna. That's the thing. Maya Dhyakshena Prakrute Suyate Sacharacharam Hetuna Nena Kaunteya Jagadvi Parivartate. Maya Dhyakshena, under my direction. I am the president of this entire spiritual and material. I am the president. That's it. It's created by me. I am the only person. Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma says, Govindam Adipurusham is the only one person there before creation takes place. From his, everything taken place. So this is the thing, reincarnation concepts described in this chapter. So ultimately, Vedic literature, on the other hand, as for thousands of years provided, see, provided what Vedic literature is provided? Practical, comprehensive, and useful knowledge about the science of reincarnations. This wisdom makes it possible for intelligent persons to gradually approach higher and higher states of awareness. At last, escape completely endless cycle of birth and death. This is the real goal of human life. What is the real goal of human life? Atato Brahma Jignasa. That is the real goal of life. What is the meaning of Atato Brahma Jignasa? Human life is meant for self-realization. Period. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am spirit soul. Vedanta Sutras. These two. You have to remember. So nicely explained all the reincarnation concepts in this and different scientific theories, etc. That is there. Okay, so now only last chapter is there. Let me see how much we have. Another 6-10. Let us see if we can complete in 10 minutes. Then let me see. This is the last chapter 8. Don't come back. I think it's a nice chapter. There is no need to rush actually. So let me see how much he has written. Srila Prabhupada. Can we complete it or what is the idea? I mean, I can spend another 10-15 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, this is a very crucial thing. Prabhupada writes with his heart and complete. Very nice chapter actually. Can we read on Friday or it's okay? Let us continue.
ఇది ఫినిష్ చేసేద్దాం ప్రభుజీ, ఇంట్రెస్టింగ్ ఉంది కదా, ఫ్లో లో అయిపోతుంది.
ఓకే చలో. ఐ థింక్ 8 o'clock వెన్నెల మాత డ్రాప్ అయిపోతుంది, బట్ ఇట్స్ ఓకే. మాత మీరు చదవండి ఇది చాప్టర్ 8. డోంట్ కమ్ బ్యాక్. Read it.
Chapter 8, don't come back.
Yes.
The sages of ancient India tell us that the goal of human life is to escape from the endless cycle of reincarnation. Don't come back.
They warn.
All in all, the situation of the living entity caught in the cycle of birth and death is somewhat like the Greek hero Sisyphus, the king of Corinth, who once tried to outwit the gods, but was sentenced to a no-win fate. He was given the punishment of rolling a massive stone up the hill, but each time the stone reached the summit, it rolled down again, and Sisyphus was forced to endlessly repeat his arduous task. Similarly, a living entity in the material world ends one life. He must, by law of nature, law of reincarnation, begin another one. In each life, he works hard to achieve his material goals, but his endeavors always end in failure, and he must begin anew. Fortunately, we are not Sisyphus, and there is no way out of the cycle of. There is a way out of the cycle of birth and death. The first step is the knowledge that I am not this body. The Vedas declare Aham Brahmasmi. I am pure soul. And as spirit souls, we all have a relationship with the Supreme Spirit, Spirit Soul, Krishna or God. The individual soul may be compared to a spark emanating from the fire of Spirit, the Supreme Soul. Just as the spark and the fire are of the same quality, the individual soul is of uh, is of the same quality as the Supreme Lord. Both share a spiritual nature comprised of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. All living beings originally exist in the spiritual world as transcendental loving servants of God. But when the living entity gives up the relationship, he comes under the control of the material energy. The eternal soul then becomes implicated in the cycle of repeated birth and death, taking different bodies according to his karma.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. That's the thing. Pretty straightforward. Super nice. Nice information. Nice knowledge. Right. Vedas declare Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit, pure spirit soul. And spirit souls, and as spirit souls, we all have a relationship with the Supreme Spirit, soul, Krishna or God. The individual soul may be compared to a spark emanating from the fire of the Supreme Soul, just as the spark and the fire are the same quality. The individual soul is of the same spiritual quality as the Supreme Lord. Both share a spiritual nature comprised of Satchidananda Vigraha, eternity, knowledge, and bliss. All living beings originally exist in the spiritual world as transcendental loving servants of God. See, so nicely writing. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All living beings originally exist in the spiritual world as transcendental loving servants of God. But when the living entity gives up that relationship, he comes under the control of the material energy. Material energy. Krishna's energy only. Material energy, spiritual energy, all the energies are Krishna only. But he forced to chalo, go and enjoy just like me, if you want. And the guy puts into a metal energy, metal level. The eternal soul then becomes implicated in the cycle of repeated birth and death, taking different bodies according to his karma. This is the thing. So what is this Sisyphus? Who is this guy? All in all, the situation of living in Greek hero Sisyphus, the king of Corinth, who once tried to outwit gods but was sentenced to a no-win fate. He was given the punishment of rolling a massive stone up a hill. But each time the stone reached the summit, it rolled down again, and Sisyphus was forced to endlessly repeat his arduous task. Similarly, when a living entity in the material world ends one life, when a living entity in the material world ends one life, he must, by the laws of incarnation, begin another one in each of life. అది ఒక ఎగ్జాంపుల్ అనమాట. ఒక బండ ఈ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ మీకు అర్థమైంటుంది అనుకుంటా. సిసిఫిస్, దట్స్ వేర్ అవర్ మెటీరియల్ లైఫ్ ఈజ్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ రిపీటెడ్ బర్త్, repeated cycle of birth and death. He works hard to achieve his material goals. Who? The living entity, for the materialistic way of life, material goals. But his endeavors always end in failure, and he must begin anew. That's where Srila Prabhupada writes this. We have a eternal relationship with Krishna. We are all individual souls. Aham Brahmasmi. I am not this body. I am a spirit soul. And I have a special connection with Supreme Lord. I have to serve. Unless if I don't serve, then Krishna puts into this material energy and has to suffer. Material energy is designed for suffering only, not for enjoyment. Its enjoyment is there. Enjoyment is just a flickering enjoyment, not permanent enjoyment, not real enjoyment. Real enjoyment is with only Krishna in his spiritual world. So let us continue. I think Swapna Mata joined. Hare Krishna Mataji, would you like to read? Since I'm just now I have seen you joined. Swapna Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna. Swapna Mataji, Hare Krishna. You can, anyway, maybe you are hearing. You can come read.
Yeah.
Swapna Mataji, Hare Krishna. You want to read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Please read. This is the last chapter of this.
I know, Prabhuji. I'm following it.
Yes.
Yeah. In order to become free from reincarnation, one must thoroughly understand the law of karma. Karma is a Sanskrit term that defines a law of nature analogous to the modern scientific principle of action and reaction. Sometimes we say, I had that coming to me. We often instinctively realize that we are somehow responsible for the good and bad things that happen to us, although the exact mechanism escapes us. Students of literature use the term poetic justice to describe that the unhappy fates of ill motivated characters. And in the realm of religion, theologians debate the meaning of such aphorisms as an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and as ye sow, so shall ye reap. But the law of karma goes beyond these vague formulations and aphorisms and encompasses a complete science of action and reaction, especially as it applies to reincarnation. In this life, by our thoughts and actions, we prepare our next body, which may be higher or lower. The human form of life is very rare. The soul gets a human body only after evolving through millions of lower species. And this is only in the human form that the living entity has the intelligence to understand karmic laws and thus become free from reincarnation. The human body is the only loophole by which one can escape the sufferings of material existence. One who misuses the human form and does not become self realized is no better than a dog or an ass. The reactions of karma.
Nice.
The,
Dog.
the,
Yes, mother.
yeah, the reactions of karma are like just covering the mirror of our pure, original spiritual consciousness. This contamination can only be removed by the chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra, which is comprised of the Sanskrit names of the god, pronounced Hare Krishna Rama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The power of this mantra, often called the great chant for deliverance, to free one from karma, is described throughout the Vedic literature. Srimad Bhagavatam, the cream of the Puranas, advises living beings who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed immediately by even unconsciously chanting the holy name of Krishna. In the Vishnu Dharma is said, the word Krishna is so auspicious that anyone who chants his holy name immediately gets rid of the resultant actions of sinful activities from many births. And the Brahmanar
Bruhan Naradiya.
Brahmanaradhya Purana extols the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra as the simplest means of achieving liberation in the present degraded age. In order to be effective,
Just choose. Let us read. Yes. Chadan Mata. It's okay. Yeah.
in
Let us
order,
spend
yeah,
another 10
in
minutes.
order to
Okay?
be in Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Another
In order
10
to be,
Yeah.
yeah, in order to be effective, however, the Hare Krishna mantra must be received from a bona fide spiritual master in the disciplic succession descending from Lord Krishna himself. It is the only mercy of such a qualified guru that one can become free from the cycle of birth and death. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya, who is a God himself, declares, according to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. How can one recognize such a bona fide spiritual master? First of all, he must be situated in an authorized line of succession descending from Lord Krishna. Such a genuine spiritual master receives the teachings of Lord Krishna through the disciplic chain and simply repeats these teachings without alteration, just as he has heard them from his own spiritual master. He is not an impersonist or a voidist, but rather a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, the bona fide spiritual master is completely free from sinful activity, especially meat eating, illicit sex, gambling, and intoxication, and is always absorbed in God consciousness 24 hours a day. Only such a spiritual master can free one of reincarnation. Material existence may be compared to a vast ocean of birth and death. The human form of life is like a boat capable of crossing this ocean, and the spiritual master is the captain of this boat. He gives the disciple directions by which he can regain his original spiritual nature. At the time of initiation, the spiritual master agrees to accept the remaining karma of the disciple. If the disciple perfectly follows the instructions of the genuine guru or spiritual master, he becomes free from the cycle of reincarnation. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness, once wrote, "The Guru takes on a very great responsibility. He must guide his disciple and enable him to become an eligible candidate for the perfect position, immortality. The Guru must be competent to lead his disciple back home, back to Godhead. He often guaranteed that if one did nothing more than Shravana, hear about Krishna, the supreme controller and cause of all causes, he would be liberated. Practical techniques for becoming free from karma and reincarnation. Activities of sense gratification.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. This section, let other two devotees they can read.
Hare
So
Krishna.
nicely, thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you for reading. So nicely explaining, pretty straightforward how he's written here. We need a guru to understand spiritual knowledge. We have to follow his instructions, and then we have a eternal life is waiting for us. In Chaitanya
It is
Charitamrita,
like a glimpse of all the chapters, Prabhuji.
yeah,
Quick glimpse of all.
yes. We have to repeat it actually. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering through the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary system. Some are going down in the lower planetary system. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. If we want to use this life in Krishna's service, Krishna is going to send a proper guru in our life. Yeah, that's true. Because we have a genuine concern about our spiritual life. So Krishna knows that. There are 4 gurus actually. I'll tell you one thing. There are 4 gurus. What are the 4 gurus? So one thing is in our, when we come to, the process of, in this path of bhakti, Krishna consciousness, there are Pata Pradakshaka Guru who inspire us initially to attend these classes, etc. It's called Pata Pradakshaka Guru. So they shown us a path. It starts from there. Start from their interaction. It starts from there. Right? It can be a Prabhupada book. It can be a person who is practicing in Krishna consciousness. Right? So that's the thing. That's a Pata Pradakshaka Guru. Then Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, instructing master, initiating master. Instructing master, Siksha Guru can be, we can have multiple. That also some limited, we cannot have more something. You can have multiple, like 2, 3, 4, max 5. Whoever nicely describing Lord's glories, right? So those called Siksha Gurus. Siksha Gurus can be, we are continuing associating with the devotees in the, like that, whoever inspiring us to take up the Krishna consciousness seriously. So that there can be Siksha Gurus. And then Diksha Guru can be only one Guru only. Diksha, he is going to, that Guru Maharaj is going to give the Diksha and putting in the Guru disciplic succession, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So that is going to be only one. And there is Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru, who as Paramatma is a Chaitya Guru, super soul is a Chaitya Guru. If we sincerely desires, I wanted to understand the purpose of life, the seriousness of life, why these all the problems, that these questions comes now when that super soul watches, yes, this person is now ready. So that he is going to, the super soul acts such a way that there is some spiritual master is going to come in our life. It's under his directions. He is going to send. That way we connect. That's the thing. So we just have to understand how so nicely explained here. The spiritual knowledge we have to receive from proper Guru. And we are following Srila Prabhupada is our founder Acharya. We are reading his books. Nothing but is a same Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, directly spoken by Krishna. No any interruptions, no any interpretations or selfish motives or any concoctions. It's pretty straightforward and same truth given in proper way. So everything is given so nicely here. We just have to continue. And this was the last section, I think. Let us quickly read. I took a lot of time. So please continue. Sapan Prabhu, can you please read?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Practical techniques for becoming free from karma and reincarnation. Activities of sense gratification meant only to please one's mind and senses are the cause of material bondage. As long as one engages in such fruitive activities, the soul is sure to continually transmigrate from species to species. What Rishabhadeva, an incarnation of Krishna, want. People are mad after sense gratification. When a person considers sense gratification the aim of life, he certainly becomes mad after materialistic living and engages in all kinds of sinful activity. He does not know that due to his past misdeeds, he has already received a body, which, although temporary, is the cause of his misery. Actually, the living entity should not have taken on a material body, but he has been awarded the material body for sense gratification. Therefore, I think it not benefiting an intelligent man to involve himself again in the activities of sense gratification, by which he perpetually gets material bodies one after another. As long as one does not inquire about spiritual values of life, one is defeated and subjected to miseries arising from ignorance. Be it sinful or pious karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka or colored with fruitive activity. As long as mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is observed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. When the living entity is covered by the mode of ignorance, he does not understand the individual living being and the supreme living being, and his mind is subjugated to fruitive activity. Therefore, until one has love for God, he is certainly not delivered from having to accept a material body again and again. Bhagavad Gita 5.5, 4 to 6.
Bhagavatam, Prabhu. Lord Rishabhadeva's teachings. Bhagavatam, 5th canto, 5th chapter, 4 to 6 verses. Okay. Continue. So he has given the principles actually so nicely. Yeah, Haribol. Yes, go ahead, Prabhu. Continue. But because becoming free from the cycle of birth, go ahead.
But becoming free from the cycle of birth and death requires more than just theoretical understanding. Jnana or knowledge that one is not the material body but a spirit soul is not sufficient for liberation. One must act on the platform of spirit soul. This is called devotional service, which includes many practical techniques for becoming free from karma and reincarnation. One, the first principle of devotional service is that one should always chant Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. 2. One should also regularly study the Vedic literatures, especially Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, in order to develop a thorough understanding of the nature of the self, the laws of karma, the process of reincarnation, and the means for becoming self-realized. 3. One should eat only spiritualized vegetarian foods. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says that one should eat only food that is offered to him in sacrifice. Otherwise, one will become implicated in the reactions of karma. Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhaktyopartam asnami prayatatmana. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. Bhagavad Gita 9.26. It is clear from this verse that Lord is not interested in offerings of liquor, meat, fish, or eggs, but simple vegetarian foods prepared with love and devotion. We should reflect on the fact that food cannot be produced by men working in factories. Men cannot eat gasoline, plastic, microchips, or steel. Food is produced by Lord's own natural arrangements, and offering food to Krishna is a form of recognizing our debt to God. How does one offer food to Krishna? The technique is very simple and easy to perform. Anyone may keep a small altar in one's home or apartment with a picture of Lord Krishna and the spiritual master on it. The simplest form of offering is to place the food before the pictures and say, "My dear Lord Krishna, please accept this humble offering," and chant Hare Krishna. The key to this simple process is devotion. God is not hungry for food, but for our love. And eating this purified food that has been accepted by Krishna frees one from karma and inoculates him against material contamination. 4. The positive principle of offering vegetarian food to Krishna automatically includes the negative principle of avoiding meat, fish, and eggs. Eating meat means participating in the business of unnecessary killing other living beings. This leads to bad karmic reactions in this life or the next. The laws of karma state that if one kills an animal to eat it, then in his next life, the killer will also be killed and eaten. There is also karma involved in taking the lives of plants, but this is negated by the process of offering the food to Krishna because he says he will accept such vegetarian offerings. One should also give up intoxicants, including coffee, tea, alcohol, and tobacco. Indulging in intoxication means associating with a mode of ignorance and may result in one's taking a lower birth in the next life.
Thank
5.
you.
Okay, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
సంయుక్తం అవుతుంది మీరు కంప్లీట్ చేయండి.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Last.
Other techniques for becoming free from the cycle of reincarnation include offering the fruit of one's work to God. Everyone must work for simple bodily sustenance, but if work is performed only for one's own satisfaction, one must accept the karmic results and receive good and bad reactions in future lives. The Bhagavad Gita warns that work must be performed for the satisfaction of the Lord. This work, known as devotional service, is karma free. Working in Krishna consciousness means sacrifice. The human being must sacrifice his time or money for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed, otherwise work causes bondage in this material world. Bhagavad Gita 3.9. Work performed as devotional service not only saves one from karmic reaction, but gradually elevates one to transcendental loving service of the Lord. The key to entering into the kingdom of God. It is not necessary to change one's occupation. One may be a writer and write for Krishna, an artist and paint for Krishna, a cook and cook for Krishna. Or if one is not able to directly engage one's talents and abilities in serving Krishna, one may sacrifice the fruits of one's work by contributing a portion of one's earnings to help propagate Krishna consciousness throughout the world. One should, however, always earn one's living by honest means. For example, one should not work as a butcher or gambler. Parents must raise their children in God consciousness. The Vedas state that parents are responsible for the karmic reactions of their children. In other words, if your child incurs bad karma, you must suffer some of that karma yourself. Children should be instructed about the importance of obeying God's laws and avoiding sinful behavior, and should be taught how to develop love for the Supreme Lord. And parents should make them thoroughly familiar with the subtle laws of karma and reincarnation. Krishna consciousness person should not engage in illicit sex, that is, sex outside of marriage or sex not for the purpose of conceiving a child. It should also be noted that abortion carries a special karmic reaction. Those who participate in killing unborn children may be placed in the womb of a mother who chooses abortion and themselves be slaughtered in the same horrible way. But if one agrees to no longer commit such sinful acts, one can become freed from karmic reaction by inoffensive devotional chanting of the holy names of God. 8. One should regularly associate with people who are trying to become free from the influence of karma and who are attempting to break out the cycle of birth and death because they are living in harmony with the spiritual principles governing the universe. Devotees of Lord Krishna become transcendental to the influence of material nature and begin to display genuine spiritual characteristics. So, just as one cannot contact a disease by associating with a sick person, one can gradually reawaken one's own transcendental qualities by associating with Krishna's devotees. By following these simple techniques, anyone can become free from the effects of karma. Conversely, if one does not follow them, one is sure to become entangled in the actions and reactions of material life. The laws of nature are very strict, and unfortunately, most people are unaware of them. But ignorance of the law is no excuse. One who is arrested for speeding will not be excused if he tells the judge that he was not aware of the speed limit. If a person is ignorant of the principles of hygiene, nature will not excuse him from incurring disease. And a child ignorant of the nature of fire, if he sticks his hand into it, must be burned. Therefore, in order to free ourselves from the endless repetition of birth and death, we must understand the laws of karma and reincarnation. Otherwise, we will have to come back to this material world again and again, and we must remember that we may not always return as human beings. The soul in its conditioned state perpetually travels through time and space. By the cosmic law of karma, it takes a precedence in different bodies on different planets within the material universes. But wherever the soul journeys, it encounters the same conditions. As Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8.16, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode never takes birth again. The Gita and other Vedic literatures are instruction manuals that teach us the real goals of life's journey. By understanding the science of reincarnation, we free ourselves from the forces of karma and return to the anti-material regions of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. Hare Krishna. Nice, Prabhuji.
24 minutes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All the instructions actually so nicely given, no? So good. So nice. So we have to repeatedly read this. Nice chapter actually. Composed by Srila Prabhupada disciples. How all the instructions given by Srila Prabhupada, and they put it in so nicely, all this in 7-8 points. So nicely explained. So that's the why. So how can we get rid of this thing? The 8 points are so nice. What is that? Practical techniques for becoming free from karma and reincarnation. Deathlessness. Simply to understand is how can a person can be deathlessness? That means spiritual body. In the spiritual body, when go back, come back to God, there is no question of death. Always eternally existing along with Krishna. So these are the practical tips, practical techniques, right? Simple. See, that's why in devotional life we take vows, chant the holy names of the Lord, following the 4 regulative principles: no eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling, and serving in Srila Prabhupada mission. That's it. And understand, regularly read this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, offering food to Krishna, karma-free diet, right? Associate with devotees, serve. Of course, we have to balance, and always talks about, right? We have to balance material life, spiritual life, and family life. Top priority, spiritual life. Then next is family. Then next is work. Yes. In a sequence. First is spiritual life, then family we need to take care, and then work. We have to balance both. Our most priority we have to give into the spiritual life. Following this, especially this 4. Regularly reading, hearing, remembering the Lord, serving Him, serving His devotees, take only prasadam, following 4 regulative principle, chant the holy names. That's it. We give the deathlessness. There is no question of reincarnation. Krishna will be pleased upon us when we follow strictly, sincerely, seriously, follow these principles. That's all it is. There is no question of coming back. There is no question of coming back. We always be there with Krishna. That's it. We came back first, long back. When did we came back to this matter? We never know. But we came back. But now it is our responsibility. We have seriousness of spiritual, seriousness of human life. We got to know by reading the scriptures. We have to utilize nicely, serving him, remembering him, following these principles. That's it. Automatically, it's a happy process actually. Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam, Pavitramidam Uttamam, Pratyaksha Avagamam Dharmyam, Susukam Kartamavayam. Susukam Kartamavayam. It's a very happily executable process. Bhakti Yoga is a blissful process. Initially it may become like poison. Krishna says the activities, for example, when we take the bead bag and chant the holy names, our mind will not allow to hear the holy name. So many distractions, so many things will come into play in our mind, because it's the nature itself, the mind's nature itself is given by Arjuna, flickering in nature, chanchalam hi mana Krishna. But we strive, we have to work on it. There is no other way. Even though mind distracting, we try to hear the holy name so that the mind will be subdued. So we have all the instructions there. Let us practice it nicely. Let us all progress so nicely, and ultimately we have to reach the goal at the end of life. We never leave this process. We always be there in the process. It's our life. It's a way of life, and it's a blissful way of life, I can say. Right? So Sukam Kartum Avyayam. Okay. Thank you so much. Today took another 30 minutes, little more, but we completed it. At least three with me. Four of us read this complete text, Coming Back book. And this is one of the book inspired me to take in long back. Srila Prabhupada small books, Coming Back, and there is another book, Beyond Birth and Death. These two books I have read initially when I was in first initial days of my Krishna consciousness. So thank you for reading and completing for today. So let us connect on Friday with new book. I will choose some small book. Let us continue. Thank you so much for your extra time. All the time is very nicely using Krishna service. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for inspiring me to do these calls. It is going to be beneficial for all of us, actually, for me, for you. Okay. Let us serve like this. Thank you so much. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Nitai Gaur Hari Premanande. Hari Hari.
Hari Bol.
Thank you very much, Swapna Mataji, Samyukta Mataji, Sapan Pranala Mataji, Lakshmi Mataji also joined today. Thank you. Let us connect on Friday with new book. Hari Bol.